So welcome actually to our fifth week of this webinar series. Not us being on series 1 or series 2, but in total, Sirna, 5 weeks, and this is the start of it. And to begin with, I just want to give you a quick heads up on what's coming your way this week. Starting with Friday, خلينا نبدا من Friday ونجي للتنين. Friday عندنا one of our engineering faculty, Dr. Ali Amouri. He's going to be talking about gamification, and specifically where he's going to be talking about how you can actually convert your class, whether it's online or in person, into a game and make it obviously interesting for people attending. On Thursday, guys, just for once, we're not going to be starting at 4 p.m. We're going to be starting at 5 p.m. simply because our speakers are going to be the Arab Institute for Women along with the LAU New York office. So, Badanuntur, our colleagues in New York, to actually wake up so that we can deliver a nice and interesting lecture about COVID and women in the Arab region. So, for Thursday, guys, just stay tuned. We will start just for once at 5 p.m. On Wednesdays and Tuesday, we have two of our physicians from the LAU Medical Center as a hospital who will be delivering talks about, well, let me start by Wednesday, about what tests should my cardiologist order for me. So if you really want to remain healthy, you want to know exactly what test would you like or you should be doing, and so on. So that will be on Wednesday. For Tuesday, Anna, our MD again, Carl Jalad, who will be talking about menopause. Yes, you heard me correctly. We're going to be talking about menopause and specifically how not to let menopause affect our intimate life. That brings me to today, and our speaker for today is not only my colleague, but also my friend, Dr. Mohammad Mroueh, who is a professor of medicinal chemistry and pharmacology. Dr. Mroueh is also the chairperson of the Pharmaceutical Sciences Department at LAU, and Dr. Mroueh earned his PhD degree from the University of Houston. Now, Dr. Mroueh, I think, has been at LAU since 1995 as a co-founder of the School of Pharmacy, which happens to me, and Dr. Mroueh, you can later on correct me, the only ACPE accredited school of pharmacy outside the US. Now, I'm quite familiar with the research focus of Dr. Mroueh because we work extensively together, and it pertains to therapeutic agents, whether we're talking about natural products or whether we are talking about synthetic compounds as well. And he tends to deal with cancer, inflammation, and in that field, he has numerous publications, over 40 publications, if I'm not mistaken, in international peer-reviewed journals. Now, 50. Dr. Mroueh also happens to be a member of the National Committee for Food Supplements and Herbal Products at the Lebanese Ministry of Public Health. And today he's going to be delivering to us a lecture on the ethics and the opportunities of cannabis, medical marijuana, hemp, weed, whatever you want to call it, but we're not calling it hashish for that matter. So, Dr. Mroueh, would you like to take over from here, please?
Thank you, Dr. Robin, for the introduction. But small correction, by the way, over 50 publications, not over 40, over 50. That's a small correction. Okay. So, hello, everybody. I hope you, your family, your loved ones are safe and well and safe. Inshallah, will remain safe from the corona. I've been told, let me start first by thanking Dr. Ziad Abdullah and Robin Talib for inviting me to this series of webinars. However, not only inviting me, but pushing me to do it, actually at the date of the month, as my preference was to do it after the month of Ramadan. But anyway, I am now on board, and I'm very happy to be with you this afternoon. I've been also informed that the audience has a different background, scientific, non-scientific, and also different backgrounds in languages, English, Arabic, and French. That's why I tried my best to make this presentation scientific, but at the same time, but now simple to be understood for almost everybody. And I'll try also to alternate Arabic or English, by the way, but I not French, I don't know French. حتى نبسط الأمور ومake it really what now, so everybody benefit from this presentation. عندي بس هون يمكن request from the administrators of the webinar, my friends, يعني my friend Dr. Talib, This topic is very heavy, and 45 minutes for a presentation might not be enough. So I might really need an extra 5 minutes to give a full view on the topic. It's really an important topic, and I don't like really to leave with really what now half the story of this topic. Especially, it's really important and sensitive, and also would like also the audience to benefit from this topic. Actually, again, to have a better understanding of this topic, science and ethics. I will divide my presentation as follows. Start now by the medicinal cannabis controversy, cannabis terminology and preparation, quality of Lebanese cannabis, specification of the legalized medicinal cannabis in Lebanon, pharmaceutical medicinal cannabis products and therapeutic uses, non-pharmaceutical cannabis products, economic impact of the medicinal cannabis, and social and health concerns of medicinal cannabis legalization in Lebanon, and then also end by the conclusion. As you know, this is a sensitive issue and sensitive topic, and also at the same time very also controversial. That's why it's known as the medicinal cannabis controversy. And that's why you will see people pro or con. Some people are supporting, others also what now are the against. We also don't talk by the way. And this controversy, Jadal, okay, will also what now will continue for some time. It has been ongoing, and also I believe would also remain also going for also some time. This controversy, by the way, you may understand it may exist between peoples of different backgrounds, scientific, non-scientific, religious, and also non-religious. Each one, by the way, has its own reasons, by the way, to believe this or also that. This controversy, by the way, also exists among people of the same profession. To give an example, here what now a controversy on the medical use of marijuana between two people of the same profession. Both are what now MDs, okay, what now. So one is pro and says that marijuana is a medicine that should be studied and treated like any other medicine. And the other fellow says there is really no such thing as medical marijuana. على فكرة هون أنا يعني I try not to use the term marijuana. I don't like to use the term marijuana and hashish. I try to stick myself to cannabis and cannabis, by the way. But now because I'm reading the text itself, so I have to follow what's written. Controversy also, by the way, it did exist also among the 10 of the U.S. Surgeons General in the U.S. Again, when they were asked about should marijuana be a medical option, their views were different. So 8 of them, they were pro, supporting, and 2 of them did not support. Again, I'm on U.S. Surgeon General. This controversy also existed among the U.S. presidents. For example, it's known that President Richard Nixon was very much against legalizing cannabis for whatever reason, medical or also non-medical reason, and his stand was very much really racist, okay, not based on science. He said that marijuana, drug of choice for Mexicans, hippies, and niggers. So you can tell a very much racist stand and not based on science. Also right here, what now you see that the views of the people, the slogan changed from 1980s when it was just known, just say no. Nowadays, just say no problem. So now become people, they became now lenient what now to the medical cannabis. It's really interesting to know that cannabis plant is the most studied plant on earth, all right? I read some citation for you from different references. Says one of the most infamous plants on the planet today, cannabis is one of the most thoroughly studied plants of all time, is the most studied plant in all of human history, one of the oldest plants known to medicine, and one of the most thoroughly studied plants today. Heavily investigated. Okay. Just to show you also, by doing a simple Google search on the cannabis, you get what? Over 992 million results. when we search again Google for the cannabinoids, still over 100 million results. But when we do what now a scientific research or search, search on the PubMed, still for cannabis, we get more than 22,000 results, and also for the cannabinoids, over 17,000 results. Okay. Imagine that all these studies were conducted even with laws in place that made it now illegal to study the plant. So imagine if this really what now, if the research or the study on plant was permitted. Oh my God, can I ship on billions maybe, okay, of the documents and results. Here we come what now to the issue what's really controversy is what now the medicinal cannabis. If you again do what now a simple search on Google, whatever search, you will find there is no agreed definition of medicinal cannabis. Simply refers to what? To the medical use or therapeutic use of cannabis itself or any of its constituents. This means that you may consider any cannabis plant as medicinal if used for medical use purpose or whatnot for therapeutic also use. Okay. However, that might not be also the perfect, the treatment, because different cannabis, they have different also what now the effect what now on the central nervous system. فتأثير على الجهاز العصبي يفرق بين cannabis and cannabis. Okay. So that's why there is no really a clear definition of medicinal cannabis, which is fine. In Lebanon, we have two cannabis species, cannabis indica and cannabis sativa, with only one strain. Strains with not the hybrid. Not to show. So this was now the type of leaves of the cannabis sativa. This is also now for the indica, and here also have also now the hybrid. It's good to know, by the way, that this hybrid strain is made in Lebanon. So it's really what now have been developed throughout the years and decades by the farmers to have what now this hybrid strain. So what now again, as I mentioned, for example, two species. So we have the sativa and also the indica. The indica and also what now with the hybrid, what now as I said, okay, it's really made in Lebanon and has been developed through the decades by the farmers to have what now this hybrid. And also now being a hybrid between two species, so really we don't know really whether it has more the properties of sativa or also more of the indica. That's why really what now we need to do more research on that to know really what really more properties from which is from the indica or also what now from the sativa itself. Unfortunately, again, there is really no really what now accurate information, but when it comes what now to street language, it's famous, it's known. We have the red Lebanese strain, we have the Lebanon blonde hash, and we have also the Lebanese cannabis strain. Now doing what now a scientific search on Lebanese cannabis, we found only what now 4 publications. Okay? 3 of them are really what now scientific and also published by the by journals like Journal of Pharmacy and Pharmacology, Journal of Phytochemistry, and Journal of Chromatoid Science. Okay, and also one by the UN Office on Drugs and Crime. All these, they're also really what now old. Actually, starts in 1968, and then by 1968, 1971, 1974, and also 1984. And all these were now scientific studies, except the UN Office on Drugs and Crime, has been done outside Lebanon and also not by also non-Lebanese. While the one by the UN Office on Drugs and Crime, I see some only maybe Lebanese names, okay, by the way, and which means we really still need to do more research, more and also more. Imagine that we have more research on Zatar, يمكن بقدونس وكزبرة ونانا more than this plant. And also in a second, by the way, we'll see that really what now, how important also now the Lebanese cannabis. Okay, I've been given instructions to end. كبرها شوي هذه, I don't know really. See how it's nice. I don't know. That's all I know. I'm not very much in the technology rather. All right. So usually نحوي عن بالعربي بنسمع كثير مصطلحات ماريجوانا, حشيش, hash, and also hash oil. Okay. So what's the difference now between these terminology or what now the مصطلحات? Okay. So marijuana, very much this term now المصطلح very famous now in the West, in Lebanon less, and عندنا more the term hashishi by the way, and also example now the marijuana. Okay, طبعا يعني بتحطهم مثل بعضهم marijuana and hashishi are not the same by the way. Marijuana what now is the dried flowers and leaves of the plant. يعني only الجسم اللي هو الجزء اليابس والجاف من النبتة بيسموه ماريوانا. فلما يقولوا الناس عم يزرع ماريوانا التعبير مش دقيق، لأنه احنا عم نزرع كنب أو كانابيس تنعمل منه ماريوانا. فذاتس واي بلبنان بس يعملوا كبسات وبيصادروا عذرا بيصادروا ماريوانا، لأنه بيكون الجزء اليابس من الفلاور الوردي الزهرة and also the leaves of the plant. Hash, for example, is different one شوي. Hash مصغر حشيش and short of the hash produced from the fine needles or the fine particles needles شعيرات اللي بيكونوا على رأس الزهرة. okay. بعد ما يجفوهم ويبسوهم لفترة يحفون هيك باليدين، والجزيئات الصغيرة اللي بتنزل منهم مثل الغبرة بيجمعوها ويسموها بودرة أو غبرة. طبعا الأشخاص اللي بيكونوا قراب من الدومين هذا بيعرفوا أهمية البودرة والغبرة، حتى بيسموها is the super quality one، لأنه THC اللي عم يحكي عنه المادة المخدرة هي أكثر شيء موجودة بهول الشعيرات اللي هون على رأس الزهرة، ولأنه هي طبعا مادة لزجة بتلزق، فبس يكبسوه مع بعضهم بيطلع لنا العجينة. فهول الترمز معروفين، هول المصطلحات بودرة وغبرة وعجينة. Now we move to the hash oil. هي عبارة عن مستخرج زيت من الكانابيس باستعمال organic solvents مثل الكحول يعني سبيرتو وايثانول وغيره. The chemical constituents of the cannabis are شوي special by the way. That's why we classify them as cannabinoids and non-cannabinoids. The cannabinoids are special for this plant, and the name مبين even after the cannabis itself. So far there are 114, maybe sort of 15 كمان also known cannabinoids. The most abundant, most important, THC and CBD. Recently, by the way, CBN and CBG are also gaining some attention. The second part of what now is the non-cannabinoids. اللي هن أصلاً terpenes, terpenoids, and flavonoids. And this type of compounds, by the way, are not specific to cannabis, are also present in most plants and also in herbs. When we talk about the cannabis sativa, a natural one before the biotechnology and bioengineering. So the natural one, natural cannabis sativa, rich in THC, produce psychoactive properties and also the effects, were known to be high in the THC-CBD ratio. عكس cannabis indica, فيها more CBD and also non-psychoactive and also has a lower THC-CBD ratio. يعني هون شوية chemistry بس excuse me للجمهور الaudience اللي منه chemist by the way, just to show what's now the common structures of these cannabinoids. I'm going on THC, CBN, CBG, CBC, CBD, and also THCV. These are natural cannabinoids. Also interesting to know that in case of the fresh and raw cannabis, all of them, if not all by the way, most of them exist in the carboxylic acid derivatives. يعني هون كلهم سوا عندهم this group carboxylic acid group or what now the moiety كلهم سوا هون. What's also interesting, this group, the carboxylic acid group or moiety, will leave or undergo a molecule undergo decarboxylation when subject to heat, drying or aging to produce what? THC. THC, by the way, is more potent and the more effect على الجهاز العصبي أكثر من THC. هذا يمكن كمان بفسر ليش أهلنا بالبقاء بس يقطفوا الكنبس الكنب بتركوه شي 4-5 أيام outdoor شمس وندى ليل مع نهار by the way, so to dry and possibly also can convert the acid form THCA into THC. طبعا كمان others by the way. So possibly this is what now the logic behind keeping them outdoor for a couple of days in the sun and also what now in the تحت الندى كمان للماء نهار. Okay. Now till recently it was thought that the THC is the most potent component of the cannabis. So recently about 4 months ago, when an Italian research team discovered a new compound in the cannabis 30 times more potent than THC اسمه tetrahydrocannabinol. ونحن ان شاء الله بون يعني بالبلان بتامل وعندي good feeling we may also discover maybe also a new cannabinoid in the Lebanese cannabis. Let's now look at the Lebanese cannabis quality. يعني احنا هلا مش عارفين قيمتها صراحة. Imagine في عالم يسموه الكنب الماريجوانا والكنبس they classify الكنب اللبناني من أول 5 أنواع كنب نادرة في العالم. نحافظ عليها نحن ومش عارفين قيمتها. شركة تهتم بالبذور للكنبس اسمها ايس سيدز. again عامله دعايه باي ذا واي لكنب بذر كنب لبناني اصلي. تاملوا 5 بذور ب 25 يورو وبعدنا مش عارفين قيمتها. كمان studies again not by Lebanese by somebody else بيحكوا عنها انه the Lebanese cannabis انه في كمان terpene component. بيقولوا كمان التربين component profile is كمان شوي مميز باللبنيز كانابis. فكمان شيء also مميز وبرضه شو مش عارفين قيمتها. The ACE now the ACE كمان seeds by the way مبسوطة هون they launched their own line of Lebanese hash plant a legendary strain from Lebanon. okay كنا باللبناني الأسطوري ونحن كمان شو مش عارفين قيمتها. Now we move to the specifications of the legalized medical cannabis in Lebanon. شو مواصفاتها على فكرة هنا؟ هو نفس المواصفات تبع اللي يزرع حاليا في البقاع. نشوف هلا. فالمشروع اللي تم حاليا التصويت عليه بالبرلمان لتشريع زراعة القنب لأغراض طبية. هذا العنوان تبعه الترخيص بزراعة نبتة القنب للاستخدام الطبي. فبقولوا مادة وحيدة صدق اقتراح القانون الرامي للترخيص بزراعة نبتة القنب للاستخدام الطبي والصناعي كما عدلته اللجان النيابية المشتركة مجلس النواب. يعني كان في درافت بعدين عدل الدرافت هذا اصلا. الدرافت اللي كان بالاول عم يعرفوا نبات القنب هي من النباتات الخاضعة للرقابة ولها خصائص ذات تأثير نفسي وتشمل البراعم المخصبة أو غير المخصبة والبذور من نبات القنب للاستخدام الطبي والصناعي التي تحتوي على مادة THC بنسبة تحدد وفق ما تقرر الهيئة بناء على المعايير الدولية. يعني حطوا standards of this cannabis based also on what? On international standards. They did not specify the content of THC. خلوها مفتوحة ومواد طبية أخرى غير مخدرة بنسب مختلفة من مادة الكانابيديول. هذا كان شو the original draft. عدل هذا التعديل صار بتعريف النبتة. فهي من النباتات الخاضعة للرقابة ولها خصائص ذات تأثير نفسي وتشمل البراعم المخصبة أو غير المخصبة والبذور من نبات القنب للاستخدام الطبي والصناعي التي تحتوي على مادة THC بنسبة لا تتعدى 1%. هون التحديد 1% أكيد حكون مختلفة عن المستوى ال THC اللي موجود حاليا بالقنب المزروع عندنا بالقاع. فهذا هون الفرق الوحيد هو نسبة ال THC التي تتعدى 1%. على فكرة هون الأنبوز يلي فيه كمان هو طبعا فيه THC بس تحت ال 0.3% هذا منه illegal is legal. كل شيء بيحتوي على تحت below 0.3% of THC is legal and can be also marketed. When it goes beyond that, يعني above 0.3% THC, it becomes illegal. Okay. So now we'll move on now to the main topic now, risks and opportunities, and I will start now with the opportunities. And also I will start with the medical use of this plant. So this slide shows 6,000 years history of cannabis. Okay, and the plant, by the way, has a long history of what? Of medical use. ما بيهمنا by the way. بيهمنا example when it was used, okay, what now for the medical use in our area. Imagine between year 1464 يعني في the Arab but now the scholars Al-Mayusi and Al-Badri used to use it to treat epilepsy. Imagine من 1000 سنة كانوا يستعملوها للابيلابسي والFDA by the way agreed or approved the CBD from cannabis for epilepsy 2018. من 1000 سنة كانوا يعرفوا إنه الكانابيس بيفيد الابيلابسي. كمان also the Arab traders كانوا يستعملوا كمان this plant to treat malaria, asthma, fever, and dysentery. Also, I found a citation for the therapeutic use of cannabis by Arabic practitioners. So I found one article published by in the Journal of Cannabis Therapeutics, published in 2001, and also by a non-Arab author. He is, by the way, a Spanish author. And also what now he cited, okay, what now that the Arab now the practitioners used to treat these many diseases by what now by the cannabis. What really also what now what really and got my attention is this statement. You know, this is the cannabis extensively used as a medication from the 8th to the 18th centuries. Imagine 8th to 18th من القرن الثامن للثامن عشر as what? Anti-emetic, anti-epileptic, anti-inflammatory, and analgesics. وللصدفة by the way أو كل نسوى الاستعمالات اللي عنهم that's the only one approved by FDA recently. They have been used by the Arab practitioners long time ago وهلا recently approved by the FDA. شو بنعمل؟ نحكي العربي استعمالات كيف لمعالجة أمراض الصرع يعني الإبيليبسي وحالات الغثيان والتقيؤ والأوجاع والالتهابات. استخدمنا Okay, here I will talk about the potential therapeutic applications, and the term says potential therapeutic applications. The term potential means it has some proof or evidence for efficacy, for effect الفعالية, but it's not intended or now indicated for use. بس إنه في some sort of evidence or proof to be used for cases. وطبعا this also كمان information from the government of Canada كمان for the health department, the government of Canada. They list all these applications: palliative care, quality of life, chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting, wasting syndrome and loss of appetite, multiple sclerosis, epilepsy, pain, different types of pain, arthritis, okay, movement disorders, dystonia, Huntington disease, Parkinson's disease, Tourette's syndrome, glaucoma, asthma, stress and psychiatric disorders, anxiety and depression, sleep disorders, post-traumatic stress disorders, alcohol and opioid withdrawal symptoms, schizophrenia and psychosis, Alzheimer's disease and dementia, inflammation, وكل شيء له بالinflammation like the irritable bowel syndrome, inflammatory bowel disease, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, disease of the liver, metabolic syndrome, disease of the pancreas, diabetes and pancreatitis, حتى also anti-cancer properties. Let me ask a question. What makes this plant special that has so many potential therapeutic applications? So once we know really, okay, the way it acts in the body, then we understand this. Cannabinoids, by the way, in 114 compounds, THC, CBD, and others, okay, they interact with specific receptors in the human body. All right? So these receptors are classified as CB1 and CB2. Actually, recently, LSRP CB3 and also CB4 and maybe also more. But the most known and characterized receptors, CB1 and CB2. CB2. These chemicals, يعني هن أصلاً THC and CBD, interact with these receptors. They are very specific to them, okay? And these receptors are present all over the body, you can tell, right here. CB1 and CB2. CB2 also, CB2, I don't know, CB2. CB2. So CB1, as you can see here right now, is present more in the brain. That's why THC, which acts more and with high affinity to CB1, will have more effects on the brain. Unlike CB2, which is present outside the brain, and the effects usually right now do not have really much effect تأثير على الجهاز العصبي, like also right now the CB1. So now you can tell, and also that's why when we take right now these cannabinoids, they're going to affect the function of the liver, brain, heart, spleen, lung, bone, kidney, muscle, immune system, digestive system. That's why all organs will be affected by what? By these cannabinoids. And I'm all affected, by the way, but does not necessarily mean treat disease of this organ. But that's why we have these 24, the potential therapeutic applications. So also what now, this endocannabinoid system اللي هن عبارة عن these receptors, system by itself by the way, كمان موجود بقلب البادي مثل ما بقول عطل بالصف، خلط ربنا موجود جوا بقلب البادي كمان two endogenous cannabinoids بيسموهم كمان cannabinoid الداخل موجودين جوا لأن AEA and also 2AG هول موجودين. ليش جوا بالبادي God knows مثل ما بقول we don't know really. مثل ما في also بس نحكي عن الأوبيوتس مورفين وغيره by the way. نفس الشيء also بالبادي كمان في شيء بسموهم أفيون داخلي كانوا موجودين. للصدفة على فكرة للصدفة بالpharmacology usually we identify the receptors and find drug to act on the receptor. This is the general trend. So receptor identification and then want to find the drug that bind to this receptor. بالحالتين بالcannabis cannabinoids or endocannabinoid system and also with the opioids كمان opposite. Drug were used and then later we knew how do they work and also which receptors. صدفة إنه cannabinoid for the opioids and also for the cannabinoids. Question to be asked also, is the effect of the cannabis due to the cannabinoid component only or also what now due to the whole plant? So that's why do we call also the plant itself is a medicine? And we call this effect as entourage effect. So far we don't know. That's why there's now so many studies going on to study whether the effect of the cannabis is due to the cannabinoid component or also what not to the whole plant constituents, yani terpenes, flavonoids, and also cannabinoids. So far, studies do not support this entourage effects, which are weak evidence, but we don't support, okay? Some they also do to support. This is also, again, an ongoing also studies. So far we covered now what we call the potential therapeutic indications. Now we move to the FDA-approved cannabis products. These are FDA-approved, okay? So we have a couple of products. Marinol, the generic name right now is dronabinol, is synthetic THC. Synthetic THC used for the treatment of the chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting in cancer patients, and also as a appetite stimulant for the AIDS patients. Similar product, Syndros, again, the same generic, dronabinol. This also now here an oral solution instead. كمان also synthetic THC, same but now indication for nausea and vomiting in cancer patients, and also appetite stimulant for the AIDS patient. Sisamet, different, is Nabilon. Okay, right now, slightly different than the THC, still known as synthetic THC, also but now with the same indication. Sativex is a mouth spray. Nabiximols, okay, what now is the content, and it contains a cannabis or produced of the cannabis extract that contain 50-50 THC CBD has different indication now, used for neuropathic pain and spasticity in patients with the multiple sclerosis. The last to be approved by the FDA is the Epidiolex. It's the cannabidiol CBD. What was approved about almost exactly, let's say, 2 years ago to treat what? Severe and recurrent epilepsy known as Dravet syndrome and Lennox-Gastaut syndrome. Only معروفين, by the way, kind of rare and very severe types of epilepsy that they occur now during the childhood. And really what now make on recurrent epilepsy episodes, sometimes occur more than 10-15 episodes in one day of the epilepsy. So poor children. So this drug, by the way, is very effective. هون برجع مرجوعنا انه مثل ما قلنا زي ما قلنا the Arabs used to use cannabis to treat epilepsy 1,000 years ago. كنا. Now, having talked about the THC, I want to make also distinction between THC natural and also synthetic. والحقيقة ما في فرق يعني. Okay? There is no difference actually between natural THC and also synthetic THC. Yeah, for example, Marinol, Cindrus, and Cisamet, they contain synthetic THC. All right. Fishy weird, by the way. Marinol is a Schedule 3 drug, while THC is Schedule 1 drug. كيف هيك؟ Marinol is THC. What difference? Synthetic? نحن نعرف. Being also now really now in this field. So it doesn't matter whether THC being synthetic or natural is the same. So in the body will act the same, by the way. So again, why still, if it was natural THC still a Schedule 1, it means should not be used, has no also medical use. But all Schedule 1, it means illegal, cannot be used at any condition, by the way. All right. When now Marinol is Schedule 3. Fine. But really, what now I don't really understand what now the difference. Now, talking about the synthetic THC, I'd like to make really what now a big also distinction between synthetic cannabinoids and synthetic THC. They are distinct, completely different, by the way. These synthetic cannabinoids are part of what's known as the new psychoactive substances, NPS. These, by the way, they were developed to mimic the effects of THC in what now in the body, and mimic what now the scheduled substances like the non-THC wearable. These synthetic cannabinoids are among the most commonly abused NPS in the US. This town, by the way, they add them to any the plant material, doesn't matter, example, whatever plant, you can any grass, example, they put them also now on this plant, and also they smoke it. Or sometimes, example, they suspend also now oil form to be used now as e-cigarette. بس في difference on انه اتشي وات ناو على فكره اسمهم في منهم اسمه K2 منهم بسموه كمان سبايسز في اكثر من اسم على فكره هول معروفين كومن بس حبيت بقى هون نحكي كمان عن الاتشي to 10. It's imagine 100 to 800 times more potent than THC. THC by itself is very potent. So how come? How about a drug 100 to 800 times more potent than THC? It's also believed that synthetic cannabinoids, illegal drugs, dangerous, okay, are responsible for the zombie outbreaks or the zombie-like behavior. So please, these are not the same, although they use the term cannabinoids, they are different. They are not cannabinoids, they are not natural. Also to add more what now to the potential or for the use, therapeutic use as by the FDA, what now the approval. So FDA awarded orphan status to NCC company, cannabidiol for GMB. GMB what now is a type of brain tumor, aggressive type of brain tumor. That was in 2014. More studies, by the way, also what now on the potential application for cancer. In vitro and in vivo anti-cancer mechanism for CBD on على different types again of cancer. I'm making also on what now the breast. I'm making also on brain. Also okay, what now the different types of really colon, and also what now the prostate or lungs. By the way, the mechanism decrease cell proliferation, increase apoptosis, increase what now the cell death. يعني بيخلي تموت السيل بالموت الطبيعي طبعا، لان الكانسر سيلز عاده ما بيموتوا، بيعيشوا فور ايفر بدوي. سو هون كيف بيساعدهم تيموتوا اوكي on time تقول كيف through the cycle itself. We inhibit also tumor growth. فin general by the way حتى العمر يزيد. These results by the way have been also produced in our lab the same. يعني عملنا also in vitro and also in vivo experiments, anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory, and also what now we produce the same also results. 964 clinical studies were done. راح هون بس مسجلين بالclinicaltrials.gov على شو 581 conditions. Okay. تنفرج لي what now how big also what now this issue, how active by the way also what now this issue. Worldwide, there are 35 countries approved medical use, maybe for cannabis or any of its cannabinoids. In the States, 33 states, and also NDC, again at different levels. Some also what now for personal and medical, others only medical, others medical cannabis, others only what now CBD. Different forms of the cannabis or cannabinoid products. 22 European countries also approved medical cannabis, again, or also cannabinoids. Besides what now the pharmaceutical use or production of the plant, we know also what now the industrial application of the cannabis residue. So actually means what? And after what now the extraction of THC or whatever, also CBD, so what now we can still use the fibers to make also what now clothing, make also shoes, papers, building also what now the material, or like one they call it by the way, hempcrete, and it's kind of concrete from hemp, okay. Plus also, and use also the fiber for again with the auto parts, the hurt also what now for again paper, also for plastic, also what now for auto panels. Hatta seeds also can be used also now for cooking, for also heating oil, hatta also for paints. So again, there are also many also applications and uses of the cannabis besides also its medical use. Impact on the economy. Cannabis has been regarded as what? As a huge job creator. And at least for us in Lebanon, it will create jobs in the sector, مثلا cultivation, in the transportation. And once we have cultivation, we have also pickup of the product. We have also what now the transportation, the storage, and also what now regulation. By the way, will also create also new jobs. Okay. بس تحكي كمان cultivation، عم نحكي also متطلبات الcultivation الزراعة من مهندسين زراعيين، من also example now the شبكات ري for example، مبيدات واشراف وغيره. كمان تخلق also فرص عمل بالفارماسي industry, local pharmacy industry وحتى also again also can also attract also international pharma also companies from outside. We can also attract foreign investors for both, for pharmaceutical application and for the industrial application. Only maybe عندكم a small table scheme. بس نتفرج by the way إنه that there have been also increase in jobs now in many states of the states. عم نحكي هون طبعا before Corona. Imagine في states كان في زيادة 17% in new jobs، في غيرهم كان عندهم 4000% زيادة also بالjobs. Yes, it does create new jobs. Okay. And I think حتى عندها جدوى اقتصادية. But again, I don't know how to give numbers. I wanted to share with you also the global market of medicinal cannabis and CBD oil. This is a report published by the Forbes magazine. It says CBD market could pull in $16 billion by 2025, says the study. The same author, 2 months later, okay, CBD market could reach 20 billion by the 2024, says a new study. ده في شوية مبالغة بس at least عم نحكي billions, still billions. What's also interesting and good experience is here in this country, a small country in South Africa, Lesotho. هذه أصغر منها شوي 2.1 million people. The Medigrow company invested $19.3 million cannabis growing facility around but not its capital. حسب هون يعني Barclays Bank بقول the global market for medical cannabis is currently estimated $100 billion. I don't know really how true. أنا هون ما بتبنى أرقام بس في شيء إنه at least okay and could reach 272 billion in 2028. Again أنا ما بتبنى الأرقام هذه. All right. بقول كمان أكيد the CEO of the company at the moment we have almost 2,000 kilos of biomass. Are going to produce more than 1,000 liters of CBD oil. Cost price 1 liter. Okay, but now the of CBD oil, imagine maybe 6,000 or 21,000 per one. So it depends also again on the market and also the purity. So the cost or the price of 1 liter of CBD oil may range between $6,000 to $21,000. Wow. But the wow. Oh my God. Let's now move to the risks. After we finish now the opportunities, the risks. I'll touch here now about some of the side effects of the cannabis. They really classify them as short-term use and also long-term use. Short-term use side effects, temporary memory loss, lack of concentration and coordination, altered perception of time, changes in mood, difficulty thinking or problem solving, dry mouth, tachycardia, hypo or hypertension حسب الأشخاص. While in the case of the long-term use يعني المدمن by the way في عنا the addiction. According to the National Institute of Drug Abuse, 1 in 6 people who start using as a teen got addicted. With 25 to 50% of daily users, they become also addicted. فهون في people بيقولوا by the way كثير هون دارجة على الترند إنه الحشيشي أو الكانابيس أو الكونوب by the way ما بيعمل addiction. It does. عم نحكي عن science fact okay. That's why I'm all 25 to 50 ما فيها means في عنا بين 50 و 75% do not have addiction. But في also some may also develop addiction to the cannabis itself. So memory عم نحكي هون memory loss طبعا كيف long term memory disturbances مش memory loss disturbances, cognitive impairment, bronchitis and respiratory distress, depression and anxiety, panic disorders, hallucination, sexual dysfunction. These side effects, by the way, have been also confirmed. Again, I'm on support from the government of Canada, the Department of Health. Can be also about what now the side effects of cannabis. One amateur, by the way, these effects can last up to 24 hours. So the effects will be felt within minutes, seconds to minutes, smoking, vaporizing, حتى also the dapping, the effects will last 24 hours. So again, the effects will last for that much time. Again, if you eat or drink cannabis, these effects can occur within 30 minutes to 2 hours and can last for up to 2 hours. حتى بس ياخذ الواحد orally يعني بالفود بالكاندي whatever بالكوكيز هو عندهم slow absorption but they take more time to produce the effects. But once the effect is produced, it will last about 24 hours. Again,
Mroueh فيني بس دخل very quickly and note if you can wrap up within a couple of minutes then not everybody time is
I don't mind to really to remain available after the session.
لا بس بعتقد continuing education لانه they have another meeting مش هناك بيبدا at 4 they stop at 5 the host يعني in other words
almost okay. So that's for example many of these also but now side effects also mentioned in the government of by the government of Canada document from the health what now the department. Again, if smoking lead to damaged blood vessels and also what now the يعني again we need to also to watch out of this. I'm كمان حتى short term effect by the way. Not I'm كمان and also what now the addict can lead also increase also heart rate, can be dangerous to some people. Okay. أهم شيء also by the way that the long term effects of cannabis may also affect intelligence IQ. So watch out guys please. Other again long-term effects again كنا عنهم bronchitis, active lung infection, chronic cough from long-term okay, and increase also mucus buildup in the chest. Okay, here I'd like to point out, for example, difference between THC and also the alcohol. Okay, for alcohol it's known by the way, and whoever achieves 500 microgram per ml of alcohol in blood بيسموه intoxicated and should not also drive a car. يعني سكران مظبوط should not also drive a car. For cannabis عم نحكي هون microgram per ml. For cannabis عم نحكي عن THC 7 to 10 nanogram per ml is considered intoxicated. يعني هذا سكران وهذا محشش by the way. Both of them are not supposed to drive a car. حتى also in some studies will of even 5 nano وحتى also 3.8 nanogram per ml THC in serum can make a person incapable of driving a vehicle. Okay. These effects, by the way, of the cannabis clears 3 to 4 hours after use. يعني you cannot also have example now نفس cannabis وتسوي سيارة. You need 3 to 4 hours to clear. Okay. Especially that 30% of THC remains a week after marijuana use. Maybe مش محسس الواحد, but still have a residue also in the body. Some people will be surprised. They will achieve this value. اللي عنه هون 7 to 18 nanogram per ml following even one single puff. سحبة واحدة بس للماريجوانا. في ناس بيقول لك دخن سيجارة ما بيصير شيء. This is the exception. This is on some people from only one single puff they can achieve right now this 5 to 10 nanogram per ml of plasma. Okay. Question of keep us on في شيء اسمه social and health concerns if we start also what now to smoke what the marijuana. But they have a link between the opioid crisis and also what now the if لا سمح الله بلبنان for the medical use. مثلا بكندا it's known by the way بكندا and states في شيء بيسموه the opioid crisis. Okay. Imagine now between January 2016 and March 2019 about 12,800 Canadians died from overdose of opioid drugs. In the States, imagine, كل يوم بيموت over 130 person from overdose. 10.3 million, okay, but now they abuse prescription of opioids. But the first by the way, $78.5 billion, okay, but now the cost of prescription opioid misuse in the US, okay, that much money by the way. وأنا شو عم نحكي هون؟ It's the states في system في accountability في محاسبة. في ناس بتلاحظ وبتراقب. اوكي. طبعا دراجز هون كودين ديميرول يعني ميبردين فنتانيل هيدروكودون ميثيكودون هول ناس ought to use فوقهم. So أنا أقول abuse or overdose can lead to death. Sorry. Imagine okay what now the states in 2017 شوفوا examine them. 200 doctors were convicted sorry, and 220 also other medical personnel. عم نحكي هون بين وقت يعني بين nurses and also يعني staff okay كله medical staff example هولي كلهم by the way were convicted. شو عملوا هولي؟ Imagine 16 of the doctors prescribed more than $20.3 million in pills illegally. هذه states my friends states. بتنسي مثلا that was 2017 عم نحكي هون 2018 ما تعلموا كمان. One doctor prescribed more than 4.2 million opioid pills. One by himself. He prescribed. So my question now here, if we legalize its medical use, حتى still, but this 1% can still, by the way, can be abused. Okay. هو اللي عم تحكي هون وشي health care professionals بقول كيف they had also what now the القسم professional مظبوط قسم المهني تبعهم and still عملوا abuse. ما أدراك بلبنان شو بصير بلبنان. That's why we need to be very careful. That's why the concerns are, can we avoid such epidemics, مثل ما صار opioid epidemics in the US and also Canada? Can we protect our children in schools and universities from cannabis abuse? Can we have control on medicinal cannabis cultivation? بس هذا هو المسموح فيه. Can we ensure proper handling of this new cannabis law for the best interest of our country? كلهم, by the way, valid questions and need to be answered. In conclusion, medicinal cannabis can be considered as an alternative therapy, by the way, if used properly under medical supervision and for short term only. Now, thank you for listening. I'm sorry أخذت شوي زيادة and I took من الأول. This is a heavy topic and also requires really more time than the allocated time. I'm available for any question.
Dr. Mroueh, thank you for this full hour presentation. I'm just going to open the floor for a few minutes, guys. I don't think we have more time لأنه الhost has already another meeting. أنا كنت عم ساعدك by the way Dr. Mroueh هلا بالchat box على الأسئلة. You received more than 30 questions and I did my best to help out. So خليني أوصل ل next one.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything relative to THC legislation you can send?
No, THC I think will not, but maybe طبعا لأنه my point was إنه how come the natural THC is Schedule 1 بينما synthetic Schedule 3? هذا شيء really I don't understand صراحة.
Okay. Another question: what is next for cannabis in Lebanon, and how investors can legally contribute in this business?
Well, they can actually maybe in a couple of days. عفيف القانون حينشر بالجريدة الرسمية، حيكون في له هيئة ناظمة، كل واحد بيقدم فيه application by the way، بده يكون لبناني الأصل وعنده شروط معينة و open for everybody by the way. يعني في شروط. يعني بده يكون طبعا عنده كمان legal record, you know, clean record.
Okay, let me take two more questions. Planting cannabis does not have an effect on the air in the region where it's planted. I think that's a question.
Doesn't have effect on the air?
On the air.
شو قصدك مثل يعني contamination مثلا pollution?
I'm guessing.
And I doubt صراحة.
Are there accurate systems to test cannabis products in people?
Of course.
في quick test يعني بمكتب مكافحة المخدرات في quick test.
على حسب بتقول accurate example quick test yes بس the accurate أكيد في عنا الانسترومنتس اللي عنا بالجامعة example can measure them yes of course.
Okay, let me take one more question. Answer another one that was already questioned. Finally, Dr. Mroueh, knowing that terpenes are defense systems innate in the plant, does it have any negative side effects on humans?
Terpenes? Possibly, not very, yes. And really, I'm thinking on the terpene, the level of them is not really very high, and it depends again from plant to plant. So terpenes are important component of plants, and many edible food contain terpenes, you know. But again, I think maybe beyond a certain concentration, maybe have some, but not necessarily.
Okay, so I think it's 5:01, so let me, and apologies again because I have to
stop taking questions, but I have to leave the panel, Mike. And I don't really mind.
If anybody really would like to have any questions answered by Dr. Mroueh, you can just send him an email. And if you go على LAU website, search Dr. Mohammad Mroueh, you can find his email, and please مثل ما عملت مع بقية participants أنا بتبرع بخدماته لدكتور مروي تيجاوب عليكم via email if you have any questions. Dr. Mroueh, one more thing. كنت عم تقول عن الكانابis السينثيتيك is schedule 3 والnatural is schedule 1. I do believe this is something لأنه I do teach بالforensic chemistry. It's for political reasons. بعد ما طلعوا الأمريكان من حرب فيتنام and so on.
I agree, but that's what I mean. From the science background, from science point of view, I don't understand this. It has to be political, yes. You're right.
It was لأنه كل الجيش الأمريكي كان على الهيروين وانتقل على وقتها الكانابis. But this is not obviously.
It makes sense. I'm more than science wise, it's really يعني في شيء weird مش طبيعي. But it has to be really has a political view behind this.
Exactly. And to finish up, Dr. Mroueh, one controversial question from my side. As you guys noticed, Dr. Mroueh is one of the least controversial people. حتى لو التوبيك controversial بيحاول يكون إياها بطريقة very nice, very systematic, very scientific. بس Unfortunately I'm not, or fortunately لكم I'm not. كلنا بنعرف obviously الحديث البلد هلا والعالم عن الكانابيس والليجاليزيشن، بيتشرع ما بيتشرع and so on. بعتقد خلينا نتفق على كم نقطة هيك سريعة. أول شيء الريكريشنال legalization is very controversial، وهيدي something I don't think anybody or any one of us wants to get into it right now. في عندنا therapeutic legalization يلي دكتور موي obviously shed some insight into it من ناحية
I'm pro. أكيد I'm pro.
properties and so on. يمكن بدنا كمان هلا a little bit more scientific analysis and studies, which is what we're doing بالجامعة headed by Dr. Mroueh of course. بس في أنا a third point of view يلي بحب استعملها political legalization. بالوقت اللي كل العالم، مش كل العالم، في كثير بلدان عم تشرع الكانابيس، اعتبروا نحن ما بدنا نشرعها. ليش؟ فور اكزامبل ما فينا نستفيد، ما فينا نفيد المزارعين، ما فينا نفيد الدوله. فور اكزامبل اذا شرعنا زراعتها وتصديرها لبلدان الحشيشه او الكانابيس او الهمب او الويد.
ما عندي مشكله، سوري ما عندي مشكله، سوري يعني انا agree with you، مش disagree، بالعكس انا ما عندي مشكله as long as controlled، ما عندي مشكله.
ان شاء الله.
لو حكيت عن الكواليتي اوف كانابيس معقول كل شيء عم بقول مش عارفين شو في عنا، بالعكس انا عم بتغنى فيها.
I know exactly. So ان شاء الله هيدي بتكون اول ستيب بالنسبه لنا، نقدر نفيد المزارعين تبعنا ونقدر نفيد الصناعه كمان بنفس الوقت. ما تطرقنا كثير لهالموضوع اليوم، بس الكانابيس بلانت كلها
100% agree with you، ما عندي مانع، agree with you
بالصناعه as well، خاصه fibers. هلا for tomorrow guys our talk is at 4 p.m. as usual. It will be by Dr. Carl Jallad, who is an MD, a physician at the University Medical Center is a hospital, and he's going to be talking to us about menopause. So مثل ما قلت لكم yes, menopause and how not to let menopause affect your intimate life.